or High. Genoa, the city in the north of Italy. The administrative center of the area of Liguria and the territorial unit of the same name equated to the province. The population, about card. Person. 2017. Sixth largest city of the country. Big Genoa with the population over 1.5 million people forms agglomeration. It is located in the northwest of Italy, on the bank of the Gulf of Genoa of the Ligurian Sea. It was extended by a narrow strip more than on 30 km and it is limited from two parties to the sea and the Apennine Mountains. Center of the Ligurian Riviera. Is the largest seaport of Italy. Also in the city the international airport of Christopher Columbus and the subway are located. The historic center adjoins Old Port. Palaces of the nobility of Palazzi dei Rolli are under protection of UNESCO. In the ancient time the settlement of Ligur won by Romans in the 3rd century BB. Since the 11th century I did active business in the Mediterranean Sea. Thanks to participation in crusades I turned into the powerful Genoa Republic with numerous overseas colonies. After defeat in war with Venice and shifts of tradeways to the Atlantic Ocean in the 14th, 16th centuries I fell into decay, having lost independence in 1797. Christopher Columbus's homeland. The patron of the city esteemed Saint John the Baptist, celebration on June 24. The majority of sources meets to the Celtic origin of the name, from Gen. A mouth, river port that it is possible to carry to the name of the mouth of a stream Bisogna flowing into the Ligurian Sea. Subsequently the name was transformed to Latin. And is later in Italian. Genova. In the period of antiquity in the territory of the present city the tiny Greek colony was located. The remains of the Greek burials are found here. During Punic Wars Liguria was on side of Rome. In 209 the fishing settlement of Ligur was destroyed by troops of Carthage. After fall of the Roman Empire the area was occupied at first by Ostgota, in the 6th century, Byzantines, then Lombards. In the 8th century this territory was won by Franks. Transformation of Genoa into one of the largest ports of the Mediterranean began in the 10th century, in particular after attack Fatimid in 934, after which citizens under the leadership of the bishop and the local feudalmaster Viscount constructed new city strengthenings and began to strengthen relations with other Christian centers. Since then the Genoa vessels began to come into the ports of Spain and Palestine regularly. By the beginning of the 12th century Genoa becomes the independent city-state. Formally recognizing the power of the Emperor of the Sacred Roman Empire and the bishop, Genoa actually was operated by council of elective consuls. The feature of the Genoa thalassocratia consisted that the most influential families, Fieschi, Spinola, Doria, Grimaldi, represented the trade interests of various guilds and by that counterbalanced each other. Ran the city as the trading company, however constant political contentions long time didn't interfere with his development at all. At the time of Crusades Genoa surpassed many kingdoms of Europe in the wealth and influence. Along with Pisa, the Sea Republic from Card inhabitants, among whom there are many natives of other lands. The developed trade, the shipbuilding industry and even a banking system was Venice, Gita and Amalfi. The economic well-being of Genoa depended on an extensive network of colonies. Sometimes it were certain buildings, trading stations, places, city suburbs, e.g. the Galatian near Constantinople, and sometimes Genoese took control of the whole islands and coasts, e.g. Corsica and a northern part of Sardinia. Penetration of Genoese into East Seas was carried out both by means of diplomatic arrangements and by direct military invasion. Thanks to the union with the Byzantine Emperor, 1261, and Mongols, Genoese managed to locate in Cathay, Taman, Tana and other key points of northern Black Sea coast. See the Genoa colonies in northern Black Sea coast. Victories over the Pisa fleet at Maloria, 1284, and over Venetians at Kurzel, 1298. Marked approach of a short century of the Genoa domination in all Mediterranean. Signs of a political and economic crisis were shown in Genoa in the middle of the 14th century. Attempts to put an end to internal contentions developed in 1339 into introduction of institute of elective doges on Venetian manors. In 1394-1409 Genoa appeared in political dependence on the French, in 1421-1435 from Milanese. To the middle of the 15th century the Republic finally lost the status of the great power. Corsica revolted, Aragonets took control of Sardinia, colonies in Levant were exposed to attacks of Turks and Mamelukes. Spaniards, the French and Milanese continually interfered even in the Republican mother country, Liguria. In 1528 the Admiral Andrea Doria convinced citizens to accept a new order of management on which doges were elected for 2 years, but the decisive word remained behind merchant oligarchy. In 1470 the Genoa University was founded, and 20 years later the best-known native of Genoa Christopher Columbus peddled old stuff. Though convincing proofs of his Genoa origin don't exist, even show to tourists a lodge where the great seafarer allegedly was born. Doria relied on the union with Spain which allowed Genoese to skim off the cream from the Spanish colonization of America, putting the gold extracted there into a trade turnover. Thanks to this strategy at the end of 16th and the beginning of the 17th centuries Genoa remained one of the most safe lands in Italy and conducted big construction. By the 18th century the economy of Genoa, dependent on the American gold, as well as Spain, fell into full decay, and in 1768 the Republic was forced to concede to the French the last overseas possession, Corsica. In 1797 Napoleon transformed the weak Genoa Republic to the French Protectorate under the name of the Ligurian Republic, and in 8 years attached it to France at all. Under the terms of the Vienna Congress the city departed to Piedmont, then his fast development as the main port of the Sardinian kingdom, and then and all Italy began. By the beginning of the 20th century Genoa could already challenge from Marseille a rank of the busiest port in all Mediterranean. In 2001 in Genoa there took place the Group of 8 summit which was followed by the largest protests of anti-globalists. 1 person died. The international airport of Christopher Columbus is in the western part of the city, approximately in 10 km from the center. From Genoa, 5 main railway tracks: Genoa, Ventimiglia, Spezia, Pisa, Rome, Ovada, Milan and Turin disperse. The most part of highways was constructed in the 1930th years, however they were repeatedly reconstructed and updated. Anche Square, which decoration is Lazzi dei Mercanti, the place where the Italy's first commodity exchange was open, was the center of life of the Genoa Republic. The central square of the modern city is Ferrari Square. San Lorenzo Street removes to the St. Lavrenti's Cathedral, consecrated in 1118 with the Father Galassi of II. The main alterations of his shape belong to the beginning of 14th and to the middle of the 16th century. The Cathedral Chapel of San Giovanni, 1450–1465. Thought as a receptacle of the Christian relics of Genoa, which are mainly connected with a name of John the Baptist. The most picturesque reminder on medieval power of Genoa, High Gate of Port Soprana, the survived fragment of a city wall of the 12th century. The Palace of Doges was under construction for several, calling and reflects tastes of different eras. The total area of the constructions relating to it exceeds 35,000 m. In the city remained Palazzi dei Roli, the palaces which were once belonging to the leading surnames of the Republic. In 2006 they are announced by Monuments of the World Heritage and are under protection of UNESCO. The Palace of Sardinian Kings belongs to later era, being sustained in Baroque style. The main city theatre of Carlo Felice, 1828. Completely burned out during World War II, but subsequently is restored. The interesting ethnographic collection is presented in the Museum of Cultures of the World. At the bottom of the Bay San Fruttuoso near Genoa there is Christ's statue known as Christ from a Chasm. Near the city there are an aquarium of Genoa and the Cemetery Stiliano, which is buried in verdure, glorified for the whole world by the marble sculptures. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.